Live back to Midrand, where EFF leader Julius Malema is giving feedback on his meeting with the restaurateurs.
Not done as expected. One of the people we met was a South African manager in one of the restaurants who emphatically made a point to us that they will not sit in the managerial positions to the exclusion of their own. They always make sure that they cover everybody. So we want that type of situation. The unity of Africa starts from a shop floor. That's where we're going to unite the continent. We work together, we go to school together. When we meet in the later days in other serious responsibilities, it's easy to find one another because we've worked with each other before. It is not going to be a unity of Africa through speeches and rhetorics. It must be actioned through the shop floor, picket lines, and in the schools. The problems of Zimbabweans in the restaurant is a problem of South Africans. So they must all be treated equally and they must all be paid the same. Others should not be paid less salaries because they are called Zimbabweans. All those points were made very clear. The CRIM leadership apologized for their misbehavior and they blamed it on their legal department, that someone who gave them a letter not to engage with us. But after they engaged with us outside, they realized there is no need not to engage. I don't understand why they were even refusing to engage, because they all had their facts in order. They had the list of their employees, their ID numbers, the passports. They were ready to go to town to prove to us that they are indeed compliant, and they are trying to make sure that they employ as many South Africans as possible. So it was unfortunate, and they've apologized for that conduct, an apology for which we accepted, because ours is to ensure that the rights of workers are protected and South Africans are given a priority when it comes to employment. But that does not mean our Zimbabwean, Lesotho, Swaziland, fellow African brothers and sisters should not be employed. We raised the issue of tips, that the tips must go to the workers, and that the workers must be guaranteed salaries. They must know how much, especially those who are employed permanently, how much are they earning, and everything else will be a bonus through tips and all of that. In CRIM, they said they tax those tips because it's an income and the law allows that. It's a debate for another day, but all we want is that let the tips reach the rightful people. The last one we visited, they said the person who got the tip gets 69% and the rest is shared by the kitchen, which is fair because he will not have delivered nice services and nice food without the kitchen. So we found that practice to be the most favorable one, because the kitchen goes to town, and at the end of the day it's only the front house that gets to benefit from people who enjoyed the meal. So that too we welcomed, and we said it's the right thing to do. Yes. Yes.
Just on the issue of wages, were you able to ascertain to your satisfaction if they are being paid what you would deem as an okay wage for the workers? And also secondly, where to from here? Are you still going to be engaging other restaurants that you deem have a similar problems that you're raising?
Well, we asked about minimum wage. CRIM said it's 3 times more than minimum wage, and the rest, they said they're paying beyond the minimum wage, and legally there is nothing we can do. But we couldn't go into details about that because we are not a union, we're not here for that. We just asked from a principal point of view, are you in compliance with the minimum wage? And the answer was yes. We will be visiting different institutions from time to time. It's not a once-off thing, especially where we get tip-offs in the farms in the security industry, in the hospitality industry. We will visit those places. The EFF branches, regions and provinces, they too are seized with those responsibilities. The confrontation should not be with the employees. No foreigner must be a target of assault by any of our people. And no any of our persons should speak 70%, 90% South Africans. That is the kind of madness we don't want to hear from an EFF leadership. All we want is let there be a fair representation on the shop floor. And if that is the case, we're more than satisfied. Because these Africans too are at home when they are here. And therefore, they do not constitute any threat. But as a party that stands for election, we also have responsibility to our electorate to make sure that it is well taken care of. That does not mean hatred for the African continent. No one, it doesn't matter whether you are a gangster or a former gangster, a pantiti or anything of that sort, who will drive Africans out of Africa. It will never happen. We will never allow that. We will always be on the side of Africans, whether black Africans, whether they are Zimbabweans or Nigerians or DRC, we are on their side, including South Africans. They are not Nigerians when they commit crime. They are criminals. They must be treated as criminals. The identification of nationality is unnecessary and is xenophobic. So there is no need. Treat criminals as criminals. Treat drug lords as drug lords, not as a particular nationality, because that you are agitating for xenophobic attack against our people. Siabo, thank you. Thank you very much.
Can we ask you?
Yeah.
I mean, surely you are going to visit other establishments in the hospitality sector or other
Yes.
restaurants.
Yes.
What are you planning specifically to do in the event that they are not compliant? I mean, now you saw initially they refused to engage with you. In the event that they say we are not complying, what are you going to do?
They will comply. I agree you saw them complying. Nothing happened. They said you are not going to enter here. You are going to get a letter. What happened? Yeah. I didn't do anything. I just stood there and I said I'm going to enter. And I entered. So everyone I visit and I find them not complying, they will comply. So the EFF is like that. Just the presence of the EFF means compliance. Yes.
So just lastly, also, you know, some people have been critical of the message of the EFF regarding the visits and the fact that you are saying there must be requisite representation of South Africans, you know, as in terms of employment. Some people are saying you were actually critical previously of South Africans, you know, who complained about the overwhelming number of foreign nationals in the hospitality sector. You even went to even say South Africans actually do not even want these jobs. You know, they look down upon these jobs, and they must not complain about the message of the EFF about opening of borders and about the overwhelming employment of foreign nationals. What do you say about people who are actually accusing you and the EFF of double speak and of actually sending conflicting messages in terms of where they stand on the issue?
No, they hear us very well. They decide to distort us. There's never been a situation where EFF said South Africans can't work. There's no such a thing. All we said was that you are not going to chase our African brothers and sisters out of this country. They too is their home here. And secondly, South Africans, even if we chase all these people out of South Africa, there will still be a crisis of employment in South Africa, because the employment and the economic crisis of South Africa is not going to be resolved by restaurants. It's far much bigger than the restaurant employment. All we are saying to the people of South Africa is that the people who are the instigators, who want to see us fighting amongst ourselves, is the employer, who employ foreigners and then come to us on the other side and say they are taking your jobs. Because the survival of capitalism and colonialism depends on the division of Africans. So we need to go to where it matters the most, the employer, and say to the employer, do not divide us. I'm telling you now, and I gave this example in the morning, You move into another province. You don't have to be an outside foreigner, even if you are a national South African. You go into Umtata, and then you open a restaurant there, and you bring Pedi-speaking people only in that restaurant in Umtata. The locals will fight, and people are going to call it tribalism. It will not be tribalism. It will be because they feel excluded on the land of their own. It's a natural instinct that you will get from our people. So our people will feel neglected if these industries are to exclusively have foreigners and not include them. We want them included because they must be united in action on the shop floor, in students, in universities, in hospitals. We must share the little resources we have. But sharing should not mean exclusion of South Africans. That's why we're here. Our message is very clear. So those who want to blame us, they can do so. Only those who listen to the EFF message to understand will know what we are talking about. There are people who listen to the EFF to misunderstand it. Their job is to listen and misunderstand it. But those who listen with an intention to understand, today understand. The message is very simple. Let African brothers and sisters work together with South Africans. No employer should exclude South Africans in the name of our African brothers and sisters, because that is instigating xenophobic attack on our sisters and our brothers, and we don't want that. We know the cause, and the cause is not our African brothers and sisters. The cause is the employer. That's why when we are here, we are confronting the employer and not the innocent African brothers and sisters who came here looking for greener pastures. I'm married. Thank you.
Well, let's come out of that and just remind you that earlier on when Samkela was speaking to the EFF leader, he asked him a question about the mess that's happening in the city of Joburg in terms of the coalition government. And Malema said the problem is the arrogance of the Democratic Alliance. We just want to let our viewers know that we reached out to the DA Federal Council Chairperson Helen Zille, and she told us that she is not interested or prepared to respond to Malema's comments.